On January 13th, 2018, every phone in Hawaii screamed the same terrifying message: ballistic missile threat inbound. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. For 38 minutes, 1.4 million people believed they had minutes to live. But the missile never existed. It was just a button pushed by mistake in a system that had no way to quickly say sorry. These alerts turned from lifelines into something far darker.
Please report to the lobby to receive direction.
This has just happened. It wasn't real. It was a false alarm.
It was a really, really scary experience.
These are 5 times emergency alerts went horribly wrong. When you hear that sharp, metallic tone cut through your day, your body knows what it means before your mind catches up. It means drop everything and listen, because something terrible is coming your way. But what happens when that voice lies to you? What happens when it stays silent when you need it most? The people in these stories found out the hard way that our safety net has holes in it. Each failure revealed a different way the system can break down, from human error to technology that simply cannot keep up with nature's fury. Let me walk you through these cases one by one and show you how fragile our early warning system really is. First, let's go back to that morning in Hawaii. On January 13th, 2018, at 8:07 in the morning, every smartphone in the Hawaiian Islands lit up with the same bone-chilling alert. The message was clear and terrifying. Ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Within seconds, the entire state erupted into chaos. People abandoned their cars on highways and sprinted toward any building they could find. Parents grabbed their children and dove into bathtubs, covering them with mattresses. Some families crawled into storm drains and manholes, anywhere that might protect them from a nuclear blast. Others called loved ones on the mainland, sobbing goodbye messages they thought might be their last words. The panic spread like wildfire because everyone believed they had maybe 10 minutes before impact. Hotel guests stampeded through lobbies, pushing past each other to reach interior rooms. At Joint Base Pearl Harbor, military families rushed to bunkers, following protocols they had hoped never to use. Social media exploded with frantic posts and videos of people crying, praying, and trying to find shelter anywhere they could. The fear was real and immediate, because the threat seemed real and immediate. But as minutes ticked by with no explosions, no sirens, and no follow-up information, confusion began to mix with the terror. For 38 agonizing minutes, there was no official word that the alert was false. No correction came through the emergency system. No governor appeared on television to calm the panic. The only thing that finally stopped the chaos was a message on social media, posted by officials who were scrambling to figure out how to fix their own broken system. By then, though, damage was done. Thousands of people had experienced what they thought were their final moments on Earth, and many would struggle with anxiety and trauma symptoms for months afterward. It is hard to imagine what that must have felt like.
Power to most campus buildings was restored.
Believing you had minutes to live and there was nothing you could do about it. The failure here was not just technical, but deeply human. One employee, during a routine shift change, had clicked the wrong option in a drop-down menu. Instead of running an internal test, he had sent a real alert to the entire state. The system had no confirmation prompt to prevent accidents. It had no quick way to send a retraction. It was designed to push alerts out fast but not to pull them back when something went wrong. This was a system that treated every alert as if it were definitely real, with no room for human error. But humans make mistakes, and when they do, the consequences can be devastating. But false alerts are just one way these systems can fail you. Sometimes the opposite happens, and the real danger comes when alerts create a different kind of problem. Next, we travel to Joplin, Missouri, where the emergency alert system did exactly what it was supposed to do, but people had stopped listening. In the spring of 2011, the weather was unusually violent across the Midwest. Week after week, tornado warnings blared through Joplin.
Bad day in Joplin,
Sending residents to their basements and safe rooms. Week after week, the tornadoes missed the city, touching down in empty fields or changing course at the last minute. By late May, many people in Joplin had grown tired of the constant alerts. They had heard the warnings too many times, and nothing had happened. So when the sirens started wailing again on May 22nd, some residents barely looked up from their dinner tables. This time was different. At 5:41 in the evening, an EF5 tornado packing winds over 200 miles per hour plowed directly through the heart of Joplin. The tornado was nearly a mile wide and stayed on the ground for more than 22 miles. It destroyed entire neighborhoods, flattened a hospital, and wiped out a high school where graduation had been held just hours earlier. The warning system had worked perfectly. Sirens blared across the city, giving residents about 20 minutes of lead time. Weather radios crackled with urgent bulletins. Television stations broke into regular programming with live radar images and stern warnings to take shelter immediately. But 20 minutes of warning time means nothing if people do not believe the warning. Survivors later told investigators that they had ignored the first alerts because they thought it was just another false alarm. Some said they had grown so used to the sirens that they barely noticed them anymore. Others admitted they had stopped checking their weather apps because the forecasts had been wrong so many times before. By the time they realized this tornado was real and heading straight for them, it was too late to reach adequate shelter. The tornado killed 161 people, making it the deadliest single tornado in the United States since 1947.
I can smell it too. Good gosh. That is freaking ridiculous damage.
Many of those deaths happened because people did not take the warnings seriously until they could see the massive, churning funnel cloud bearing down on their neighborhood. You can hear the fear in every decision people made that day. The terrible realization that this time the warnings had been right. The system had not failed technically, but it had failed psychologically. When you warn people too often about dangers that do not materialize, they stop believing you when the danger is real. This is the cruel paradox of emergency alerts.
The National Weather Service in Morristown has issued a tornado warning for.
Being wrong too many times can be just as deadly as being silent. Then there was the day when even the experts could not outrun the system's limitations. On May 31st, 2013, outside El Reno, Oklahoma, the most experienced storm chasers in the world found themselves trapped by a tornado that moved faster than the alerts could track it. Tim Samaras had been chasing storms for decades.
You know, I've been doing this for 20 years. I enjoy the out of it. I
He was a respected researcher who had placed scientific instruments directly in the paths of tornadoes, gathering data that helped forecasters understand these violent storms better. His son Paul and research partner Carl Young had joined him for thousands of miles of chasing, always staying just far enough away to be safe. They knew how to read radar images, how to predict a tornado's path, and how to escape when things went wrong. But on this day, their knowledge was not enough. The El Reno tornado became the widest tornado ever recorded, stretching 2.6 miles across at its peak. But width was not the only problem. This tornado behaved in ways that no one had ever seen before. It changed direction suddenly and without warning. It accelerated rapidly, then slowed down, then sped up again. It grew from a typical tornado into a monster in a matter of minutes, expanding so fast that even professional meteorologists watching live radar could not keep up. The National Weather Service issued a tornado emergency, their highest level of alert, but the storm was evolving faster than the warnings could be updated. Tim, Paul, and Carl were caught in the tornado's rapid expansion zone. They had been following the storm at what should have been a safe distance, but when the tornado suddenly widened and changed course, their escape route vanished. All three men died when their vehicle was overtaken by winds that may have exceeded 200 miles per hour. Other storm chasers in the area barely escaped with their lives. Even a Weather Channel crew was caught off guard, their vehicle flipped by the tornado's outer circulation. The alerts kept coming, but they were always describing where the tornado had been, not where it was going next. In moments like this, all anyone can do is hold on to each other and hope the technology can keep up with nature's fury. The failure here was not human error or equipment breakdown, but something more fundamental. The tornado was changing faster than the radar could scan, faster than meteorologists could process the data, and faster than new warnings could be issued and received.
Multiple vortexes, multi-vortexes.
Even with the most advanced Doppler radar systems in the world, there was a gap between what was happening in the sky and what people on the ground knew about it. That gap cost 3 lives and exposed the uncomfortable truth that some storms simply move too fast for our warning systems to track accurately. But timing failures can happen even when the technology works perfectly, especially when danger strikes in the dead of night. In Jefferson City, Missouri, on May 22, 2019, an EF3 tornado bore down on the state capitol just before midnight.
And sweeping over the town of Andover, Kansas. Wind speeds hit 165 miles an hour and left a path of destruction nearly 13 miles long.
The National Weather Service detected the storm and issued warnings with about 25 minutes of lead time, which should have been enough to save lives. Sirens wailed across the city, smartphones buzzed with emergency alerts, and television stations broadcast urgent bulletins. The system did everything it was designed to do. But most people were asleep. Nighttime tornadoes are among the deadliest weather events because people cannot see them coming, and many do not hear the warnings. The Jefferson City tornado struck at 11:43 at night, when families were tucked into bed and sirens had to compete with closed windows, air conditioners, and the simple fact that sleeping people are much harder to wake up than daytime people are to alert. Some residents later said they never heard the sirens at all. Others heard them but thought they were just another test or a distant emergency that did not concern them. The tornado carved a path of destruction through downtown Jefferson City, damaging the state capitol building and destroying entire neighborhoods. Remarkably, no one died in this tornado, though dozens were injured and hundreds of homes were destroyed. The lack of fatalities was partly due to luck, partly due to sturdy construction, and partly because some people did wake up in time to take shelter. But the event highlighted a fundamental weakness in our alert system. It assumes people are awake, alert, and able to respond quickly to warnings. When disasters strike while people are sleeping, even perfect warnings can fail to save lives. The tornado moved through Jefferson City like a freight train, and many residents only learned about it the next morning when they woke up to see their neighborhood had been destroyed. The system worked exactly as designed, but the design has limits that become deadly when nature refuses to follow a convenient schedule. At night, emergency alerts become a race between the technology that can wake people up and the storm that can kill them. Sometimes that race is too close to call, and survival comes down to pure chance. This tornado showed that even when we do everything right, the timing of disaster can make our best efforts feel helplessly inadequate. Finally, there was the alert that sent an entire city into lockdown for a threat that existed only in the system's confused circuits. In 2022, residents across the Dallas area received urgent emergency alerts, warning them of an active shooter situation. The alerts were specific enough to cause immediate panic. People barricaded themselves in offices, schools went into lockdown mode, and police departments were flooded with calls from terrified citizens. But there was no shooter. There was no threat. There was only a system that had somehow sent the wrong message to the wrong people at the wrong time. The false alert spread across the Dallas area like wildfire, triggering security protocols at businesses, schools, and government buildings. People dove under desks, locked doors, and frantically called loved ones to warn them about a danger that did not exist. Parents raced to schools to pick up their children. Office workers huddled in break rooms, waiting for an all-clear that was slow to come. For hours, confusion reigned as authorities tried to figure out how the alert had been sent and how to convince people it was safe to come out of hiding. The exact cause of the Dallas alert remains somewhat murky, but it appears to have been a routing error within the emergency alert system itself. Somewhere in the complex network of computers, servers, and communication channels that carry emergency messages, the wrong alert got sent to the wrong region. It may have been a test message that was accidentally broadcast as real. It may have been an alert intended for a different city that got misdirected through the system's routing protocols. Whatever the technical cause, the human impact was immediate and severe. This kind of system failure reveals how dependent we have become on automated alerts and how little control we have once they start spreading. Unlike the Hawaii missile alert, which was triggered by human error,
the emergency alert system accidentally sent out.
The Dallas incident seemed to be a purely technical malfunction. The system itself had gotten confused, and there was no easy way to unring that bell. Once an alert goes out, it takes on a life of its own, spreading panic faster than the authorities can spread corrections. These 5 failures show us different ways the same system can break down. Sometimes it is human error, like the employee in Hawaii who clicked the wrong button. Sometimes it is warning fatigue, like the people in Joplin who had heard too many false alarms. Sometimes it is the fundamental limits of technology, like the radar systems that could not keep up with the El Reno tornado's rapid changes. Sometimes it is about timing, like the nighttime tornado that struck Jefferson City while people slept. And sometimes it is pure technical malfunction, like the routing error that sent Dallas into unnecessary panic. Each failure teaches us something different about the fragile system we depend on to keep us safe. What makes these stories so unsettling is not just that the system failed, but how completely we rely on it to work. Most of us carry devices that can scream alerts directly into our ears at any moment. We have sirens scattered across our cities, weather radios in our homes, and television stations ready to break into programming when danger approaches. This network of warnings has become as much a part of our safety infrastructure as fire departments and hospitals. But infrastructure can break, and when it does, we discover how helpless we are without it. Since these incidents, some things have changed, and others have not. Hawaii redesigned its alert interface to prevent accidental activations. Some communities have experimented with more specific, targeted warnings to reduce false alarms. Meteorologists continue to improve radar technology and forecasting models. But the fundamental tensions remain: the balance between speed and accuracy, the challenge of getting people's attention without crying wolf, and the simple fact that nature does not always cooperate with our systems for understanding it. We still depend on a network of alerts that can glitch, lag, or scream at the wrong time, and most of us have no backup plan for when that happens.